Smokey. Welcome back to the lab. Just a few more ideas about taking things that you know and being able to put them in sort of different places, and also taking some of the familiar ideas you have and expanding on them. And if you don't have the time or the inclination to commit to more study, because sometimes you just don't feel like it, and sometimes, man, there's just not enough fucking time. That's where you got a Smokey. Just pop it on here and be like, what's Smokey talking about today? And today, let's take the idea of the minor pentatonic built off the six. Now, I'd said earlier in a video that there was a difference between the way a rock player would approach it and just about everybody else would approach it. My inclination is to treat any minor, standing minor, as a two. That means, if you're just buzzing along on one chord and it's a jam, I'm going to think two. I'm not going to think six. But in more of a rock context, you would think a six. So if we're in A minor, then what would one be? Anybody? Anybody? Well, 6A, 7B, octave. Well, C. Very good. So overall, we're kind of coming from the C major as the parent group, but we're still using the major formula. But now we're treating sort of six as the center of that group. You can call that being modal, or you can just simply think of it as just, I'm just making that the center for now. And I was working with Lori on this tune, and it's a great tune. I mean, not to say I worked on it with her. She writes these things, and they're fantastic, and it's done. And it was a tune called The Good Stuff. And it's this great tune in six, and it's just a great tune. But it's very much a deep, slow kind of thing. And we were kicking around the idea of, well, okay, what if we turned it into a dance track? Which one would change the meter? Together, we would go from, 6 to a 4, but not change the chords. And the chords are fantastic. We're in A minor, but it starts on F major, right? It goes to a C, then it goes to E7, and then an A sus to an A minor. And so I knew that I was going to have to come up with parts for this. Because the one thing you don't want to do with, especially with the emotional content of the tune, is that I can't just go banging away through the whole tune. That's just going to get in the way. So, here I am. I'm in A minor. I know A minor. We all know A minor, but you don't stop to think about, well, what can I do to enhance the emotional content of the song with what I know? That's kind of our job. If you're not the front person, it's your job to be supportive to the song. Don't just have ideas and kind of just piss all over everything, because then you're not working together with people. That's not being a partner, You're supposed to be a partner in this, which means you make the effort to understand what's going on and the emotional content. You can't just barge through it like, you're not part of something. So this is what you're supposed to do. And you make the effort to get inside the emotional content of the thing and find places. So I got the changes on a loop. So the F, the C, the E7, the A sus to the A minor, and added a little beat and a little bass line. So we got something kind of a boogie too. But as we're going along, I'm going to break down what I had done with familiar things to make this tune that now when people hear it start and they hear it, they know what it is. It's a great fucking song. That's all you need to worry about. But here's what I did with it. So we're starting on the F, right? And it's going to go to the C. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do that's not just like plowing right through it and getting in the way? So I thought, dyads. F, just a root, third dead, C, third root, E7, I'm doing the seventh and the third, sus fifth, third fifth. So on its own. And I'm just keeping it steady with that bump, 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 bump kind of feel. It's a dance tune. But yeah, I'm just, instead of just take little parts of it, especially if it's something that needs to build. You know, the first 8 bars, I'm just doing the dyads. And for folks that don't know what dyad is, just means any figure that's 2 notes. It doesn't even have to be major or minor. Just any 2-note grouping can be called a dyad. So an F dyad, which is the middle part of this. So I'm just grabbing where my pinky would be in that figure, and using the third finger and the middle finger that I would already have there. But you can do that and just hit the first 2 notes, or you can do middle finger and first finger in the same spot, so you can kind of focus it a little more. And then off the next part, it's the C major bar chord, right? And I'm just taking the top 2 notes. And the same thing with the E7. I'm just playing the D and the G sharp. Now with the A sus, you can either think of it as a D sus 2 over A, or just as an A sus, but it doesn't really matter either way, they function the same way. But I'm taking the suspended fourth, the D, and the E, and that's 2 notes really close, they're a step apart from each other. Now, in this larger structure of the chord, if you frame too close, notes with wider intervals, it doesn't seem so like possibly sour. But gleefully, since I'm just popping between the 2 and not playing them together, to A minor, and literally just the C and the E from. So that's what I did first, was create that part. And then as the tune builds the next 8 bars, what I started to do was then introduce the rest of the chord. So over that whole part then would be. And that then would lead into the next part. The great thing about the tune is the changes don't change until you get to the bridge, which you might think would be awfully boring, but it's not, because the melody is what winds up changing over the changes. Now, the next thing I had to do, and this is all A minor, so this is a real familiar territory, and we'll do a little blowing over it too. Now, the next thing I had to do, and it wasn't I had to do, but it was an idea that I had, was, and this wasn't a melody that pre-existed in the original version, was, I got a solo in the original version. She gives me a solo in this version. And I thought it would be nice, again, to have another melodic statement. In one sense that it would give me, if I was having a solo, it gave me something to go back to. Or I could start with it and theme and variation and then back to it. But since it's a wonderfully, lyrically great tune, but it still gets in the ear. It's a hit. I'm sorry, folks, it's a hit. When you hear this, you're just going to go, and you're going to catch yourself singing later. Was then my thought was, well, if this is the kind of song that's going to get stuck in your head, because it gets stuck in my head, I catch myself singing this thing walking down the street, is then every part I come up with should be a part, and it should be singable, and it should be just as catchy as the rest of the tune. So I threw this by her. She liked it, but it was the simple melody of. Super simple, super sing song. But over the changes, then it becomes. And there's another part. So that this whole time, I'm not thinking about, oh, how can I get more out of my solo? How can I blah, blah, blah as a guitar player? No, no, no. How do I fit what I do inside of this? So I get a solo on the tune, and I'll take the first 8 bars, and I'll be melodic, and there's drama in the tune. So I kind of think of that new romantic or later period like Roxy music, like when the sax solo would come in, it just has that like drama thing that happens. So when we got to that, I thought, okay, and in that, A minor pentatonic will work, or C diatonic major, because of course we're approaching this again as a 6. The chords sort of dictate that it's going to be a 6, so this isn't something you get to choose, especially in this context. So I would usually start with something big and dramatic and. And that's what you do. It's this. The A minor was no mystery to me. It was, what can I do to serve the song and create things from what I know without just plowing all the way through the tune, which is just going to get in the way. When you're dealing with a song, you're dealing with a message, you're dealing with somebody's feelings and idea, something like that. The lyrics are what need to get across more than your guitar. You know, like, shut up with this and go ahead and listen to the tune. Put yourself in that space. That was the thing. The song's very much about, more or less metaphorically making a deal with the devil and their charms and such. Basically getting into something with somebody who's just no good for you. And that feeling. And so, even like I said, in the solo, I was going to go for something kind of big and dramatic. So another big and dramatic. I usually improvise the first 8 bars, but I go for something more melodic and grand and drama-filled. So a little more drama for you. But that's the thing. You can have moments where you have these grand ideas and make them fit what's happening. That's the biggest thing is when you're ready to find something new in what you do, take what you do and place it in a different context. And that kind of forces you to streamline what you already know, and you'll discover things. That's why I like working in improvisatory ensembles, but I like working in rock and roll too. And I especially love singer-songwriters because I have to serve what's being said to me. I have to listen to what's going on. It's almost like method acting, but I guess it's more method guitar. Put yourself in that place. Because in this kind of situation, it's not about how fucking clever you are on this. It's got to do with how clever you can be about taking what you know and fitting the emotional content of the piece. So I'll play out on these nice changes. Damn it, Laura, you wrote a great tune, and just these changes are lovely. It's a four-chord tune, but just how they're put together just lends itself to just that thing. So a little more drama. We'll throw a little shred on it just for shits and giggles and excitement. So, huh. Your buddy Smokey had to leave you with the hook. Now, keep an eye out because more dates will be coming, and you can finally come hear the tune. It's called "The Good Stuff" by Lori Laner. Look it up online. You can find it on her SoundCloud, the original version. Just fucking check it out. But at the same time, as you're working with singer-songwriters, as you're doing your sort of quest to find new things to do with what you've got, place it in a whole different context. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position. You just even at home practicing, set up a loop of something that's got nothing to do with what you've done before, and place your thing in it, and that will force you to rethink about the things you do, and you're not having to learn more theory. You're not having to incorporate another scale, and the whole getting that in your ears as you're trying to work it into another sort of field of music. Just force yourself into another field. I mean, put on a CD, put on an MP3. It doesn't matter what it is. Just put on something that's not your normal type of stuff and jam to it. Create parts. Like this is the information, the theory behind it. You can use everything you already know, not have to learn new stuff, but you'll learn new things about what you've already got in your bag. It's your buddy Smokey. It's just an idea. It's just an idea. So just don't forget, push yourself, make an effort, and always sort of remember that in that kind of situation, when you're with somebody in a project, when you're with somebody in anything, be a partner, be there for it. It's not about you and what you can do and your talent and all that crap. It's about what you do together. It's about serving something that's bigger than yourself. And that's our job as musicians. That's our job as artists. That's our job as performers. It really is. So, it's Buddy Smokey. I've gone on about aesthetics enough, and dance! We'll see you later. Oh, I forgot. Come on.